Good morning, and welcome to another Daily Dose of Love from Fair Bluff Baptist Church. Today is Tuesday of Holy Week, and Jesus had a very full schedule on Tuesday, but I want to focus on one particular event where he is teaching his disciples on the Mount of Olives. This involves Matthew chapters 24 and 25. Let me just begin in Matthew 24:1. Jesus left the temple and was walking away when his disciples came up to him to call his attention to its buildings. "Do you see all these things?" he asked. "I tell you the truth, not one stone here will be left on another. Everyone will be thrown down." As Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. "Tell us," they said, "when will this happen? And what will be the sign of your coming and the end of the age?" And what we have in our Bible in Matthew chapters 24 and 25 are known as the Olivet Discourse because it was Jesus' teaching about the future and the end times to his disciples in a very laid out way so that they could understand it. My challenge to you today, on Tuesday of Holy Week, is for you to find some quiet time to be alone, and I challenge you to read out loud chapters 24 and 25. And if you would envision in your mind's eye Jesus saying these words to you, I want to point out just a few specific things that mean so much to me. These are some of my very favorite chapters in the book of Matthew. In Matthew chapter 24, verse 35 is when Jesus said, "Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away." And then Matthew chapter 25 has three parables that Jesus taught, and I just want to give you an overview of what you will be reading. Many of you are very familiar with these passages, but it is always so sweet to read it during the time when Jesus actually taught it to his disciples. In the first parable in Matthew 25, it's called the parable of the 10 bridesmaids, or many of us know it as the 5 wise and the 5 foolish virgins. This parable teaches us about readiness and that every person is responsible for their own spiritual condition. The second parable is the parable of the loan money, or the parable of the talents. We know this parable teaches us about faithfulness and the necessity of using what God has entrusted to us. The issue is not how much we have, but how well we use what we have been given. And those talents are our time, our abilities, and our money. And then the final parable, which is so familiar to many, is the parable of the final judgment that begins with the Son of Man coming in all of his glory and him separating everyone as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. The verse that everyone will remember in Matthew 25:40 is, "The king will reply, I tell you the truth. Inasmuch as you have done it to one of the least of these, my brethren, you have done it unto me." I pray that you will accept this Tuesday of Holy Week challenge. Let us be his disciples as we listen to him teach us truth, because this truth will never go away. Even though heaven and earth will pass away, these words will always be true. I pray that you have a blessed day today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.